Hello everybody and welcome to map 2 of Heretics taking on Complexity. We are on Mirage, which will come as no surprise to you is Complexity's map pick. They pick this the vast majority of the times, and the next map up is actually their second favorite, Dust 2. Pretty good veto for them as we move on into the B bomb site. Navarre is took down, hasn't been spotted just yet, but eventually they deal with him.
Yeah, wasn't a lot he could do from that spot, having the battle over above him, a very awkward angle to be fighting on, and Config actually pushes into kitchen and stops any sort of a chance now for a retake to commence. Completely shuts down the kitchen angle of attack and leaves those two final players on short with really very few options. Right now hoping maybe that someone will push them, considering that Config had pushed so aggressively in the kitchen, thinking that he might have continued with it, but not the case for right now. And I guess really the goal at this point is to save the Kevlar over, because they're not going to win the 2-on-5 retake. Yeah, good start from Complexity. Definitely favouring them on paper here on Mirage, but considering how strong Heretics looked on Nuke, I do still have hope that it's going to be a close one. It is also a map that Heretics definitely are capable of playing themselves.
Well, I mean, we know straight up that Heretics are a competent team. You might look at the world rankings, well, maybe the world rankings a week ago, or indeed, I think it was only a day or two ago, but at the moment they've just hit the top 30 as of today. And for this matchup, it's not separated by a whole bunch. Complexity, yes, on paper, are a better team. They're in a better position worldwide, and they've been taking the scalps of some serious big contenders. But at the same time, Heretics, they don't show any signs of weakness, really. I mean, literally what I would put down, anything holding them back is how long they've been together. Since the old Heretics lineup fell apart, was nicked over an MDL, you look at this team, oh, that's nasty. You look at this team as it's certainly a promising one, but the only issues that it comes down to are the depth of their map pool and the amount of confidence they have really taking more than, I mean, they have 4 maps that they can play relatively comfortably. But when it comes down to Mirage and Dust, this is maybe somewhere that can bridge the gap of that lack of preparation, because you don't need that much really for Dust. Hello. There on the Deagle. He's already got one.
Decent damage as well, connecting another couple of shots. Fortunately, through the edge of the wall is not too substantial, but as I say that, it's just anyway Complexity just pulling back all the frags. They even have a flank coming in. Yeah, Blame F is going to come through with the Mac 10 and try and add to the bank. And they're being cautious, not currently, unfortunately, and yeah, 2 backs exposed. He wasn't going to be missing any of those shots. The second round for Complexity. It was the force buy from Team Heretics, so they probably would have wanted at least a little bit more, but not too bad being able to find themselves a frag at least in the end. And now, of course, in this round, just going to have to go ahead and take the eco. I wouldn't even really expect pistols to be upgraded, and so far, indeed, nothing actually being bought up for them. So we'll likely see a gamble. Perhaps they'll stack up. Maybe one flash could have been a good investment. We do see XMS actually getting a P250 in the end. A flash for Lucky, a 5.7 for Navarre. Yeah, we might see them perhaps, I was going to think, peeking out mid. A lot of the time you'll see them stack up around short connector and window. Not this team specifically, but it is a common CT strategy, and obviously try and time that flash then to all swing in together. But an A stack instead, unfortunately, probably not going to pay off.
Well, sadly not. It's all about the exits really from that point. The bomb to be planted, and Complexity with a 3-0 lead. We always talk about this, winning the pistol round, following up with that second, provided your opponents do force buy, which I think most teams go with now. You're then in a spot where, yes, you've got the lead early on, but it sort of just acts as a security blanket. It's a little bit of a bonus. Not a little bit. I mean, 3 rounds is fantastic to have off the bat, but it just bumps up your scoreline. It doesn't necessarily dictate how the game is going to go. Just because you were dominant in that first and second round, when the weapons come out, that's where the game changes completely. Now, you might wonder also why Heretics are saving. I mean, they'll have money to buy in the next round. They've only got 2 pistols that aren't USPs, a small bit of utility. But the thing is, they're up against 2 Mac 10s, and you don't want to give them any money for free. Playing exits even here would allow those Mac 10s to come out and find a whitewash of extra cash. And instead, you're actually punishing them. By allowing them to survive, they end up in a position for practically no risk of your own, where they kind of have to use them in this one. There's not going to be any upgrades. And so there's 1 Mac 10, excuse me. There is an upgrade. Blame F took one. I didn't notice it. But outside of that, you've got a Mac 10. It's a weaker weapon coming through to this round, and that investment they made into buying it gets them no payback. Oh, that investment in the Molotov got Nevera no payback. Mollig B-side.
Yeah, probably not the intention, but shouldn't cost them. Fortunately, it wasn't the quick B-rush. That is really when it really could have been a massive issue. Right now, though, the Complexity players focused on this mid control, and it was Config there who was actually boosted up above the smoke. An interesting angle, not something that I think Heretics would have been expecting. Unfortunately, no openings being spotted from it. But Complexity, considering they've got this mid control without really having to use too much utility, without having to take any fights, they've given themselves a lot of options now about how they can end this round. And it seems like they want to split it in towards B, and I believe by also taking it through window and trying to wrap through kitchen. Just the one in window though, so I think more so to cut off rotations. We do see the up over towards the A bomb site. Initially watching the short push. No longer doing so though, so it does give room for that player in towards the ladder to actually advance forward, and indeed only now being spotted. Fortunately, Lucky towards the bomb site is actually able to get himself the first kill going in favor of Heretics, but that didn't last long.
Yeah, wow. I mean, pick up that opening in window, and from there, nothing done. Flame F shut down, and well, the end of the story, really, isn't it? Complexity get a bomb plant. They've won the round, and Heretics end up now in a spot where, again, they're going to have to go in for the save. My concern with how this veto went down, just to paint a quick picture of how things could have went and how things did go. With Heretics choosing to start this one out by picking into Nuke, it picked what is, I suppose in hindsight now, an okay map, and certainly one that they played very well on. But it's how the later stages of the veto played out that concerned me. So Complexity picked Mirage. Absolutely no one is confused about that one. And what's left in the pool is Inferno or Dust 2. Now, Heretics removing Overpass. Sorry, Heretics had the choice to remove a map. Overpass, Inferno, or Dust 2. Of those, Overpass is a pretty good map for them. They've played it 3 times and won it every time. Complexity also only played it 3 and 133. Inferno is a nice middle ground for them, and yet they decided to remove Overpass, knowing the Complexity's second favorite map is Dust 2. It plays the same style as Mirage. Really confuses me, because in my mind, had the Heretics have banned Dust 2, Complexity would have banned Overpass and played out Inferno, looking at it as a middle ground. So instead, we get 2 very puggy maps to finish this out, and it leaves Complexity in a spot where they're fairly favored coming out of map number 1. Alrighty, Flame F, running the same route as the previous round, has caught them off guard with the same strategy. Alright, what are you doing? Someone hits a shot like that on Loco.
Yeah, XMS is gone, and he's nothing but a statistic to the stat track of Config's AK. It will be traded back 1 there by Lucky peeking in from the spawn, but now they're just looking to try and swing together. He has a flash go over, so Lucky can't really afford to stick around too aggressively. Has a teammate now joining him. But with the Molotov down as well, they're forced to give the room over to Complexity to plant, and already having a man advantage for it as well. You see, Heretics decide that they don't really want to attempt the retake. They're just going to back away, save those weapons over, but it's going to be 5-0 for Complexity. And yeah, you're right about how this veto has gone. We said it in the beginning that we did think the veto had favored Complexity. But with how strong Heretics looked on Nuke, it did give you hope that they could also put up a good game, because on an individual level, every single Heretics player looked incredible back on Nuke. Ooh. Opa was going for the wall bang, not quite connecting the shots. Is he going to try and move through the hole? I would hope not. I don't believe so.
Five to 0. And not so much worried about the fact that it's the T side building up rounds as we would be or were when it came over to Nuke. Realistically, on Mirage, you're going to get the, with the exception of Dust 2, the biggest chance to come back into maps that you do across any game, across any of the sides. Being 5 to 0 down, CT side is not a death sentence. We do need to see something from Heretics soon, because their money is low. There's not a lot of hope in these rounds for them. And even with the saves they've got coming through, it's not good enough. You have to do that every single round, right? Complexity, move in towards the A site. This is going to be a very different strategy. Nobody coming through window just yet. Blame F is very slowly coming through underpass. but that'll be quite delayed. The smoke out towards the A site, but nothing afterwards. And despite a 3-man early Palace presence, they now back off and move towards the T spawn. Very odd start of the round. I mean, the 3-man Palace surely could have been played at least with 2. I mean, if the only purpose was to watch for a push. Very odd beginning.
Yeah, I mean, not much really going on at the moment. Complexity, because of course, the 3-man around A are able to get that mid control very easily for themselves. Not really being challenged. We've seen this before, and they used to split up towards B. This time looking to favor on towards A at least. So that is a positive of having the 3 players in position. Not a lot of nades, though. The only man I believe really having too much to contribute is Kiyoshima. He's on towards short, so it is going to come down to these frags right now. Lucky picks up the initial one as they move forward. Maka going to be able to trade back from above Palace, but he's in an awkward spot. He's actually trying to be able to stay alive and get anything else, and you can see indeed just being peeked on. One player up in Palace being XMS, unfortunately, he's not able to find anything either, so now it's all on Kiyoshima. And again, I don't really think he has many options other than to save if he doesn't get a kill real quick here.
Yeah, rushed it really well to take out Kyo. At that position, or sorry, XMS. In that spot, I thought that he was guaranteed a kill. They'd already killed one up on Palace. There's no way you really suspect him to still be in there. But despite getting the first shot off, it was a headshot, but through the wood. Doing even less damage that way. Yoshima's going off to save that M4, and Complexity pick up another round. 6-0. Hell of a good start for them. The buy up for Heretics in the next round is going to be grim at best. Lucky XMS going to be struggling for weapons. Nevera and Maka can get themselves pretty confident. On the CD side, though, I wouldn't be against them just taking the save. Let Kiyoshima have his M4. Maybe he drops a pistol or two, but... Although, no, actually, now I think about it, Kyo can drop an M4. Maka and Nevera buy. It's only one weaker weapon. You might as well go for that, I guess.
I mean, they don't have to necessarily even pull out a weaker weapon if XMS is willing to not get nades, because other than him, they should have a relatively decent amount, because Kiyoshima already has full. Lucky he'll get dropped, so that'll give him enough to get them. Maka, unfortunately, will be limited if he wants to go for the op, so he wouldn't really get many, but if he goes for the rifle, he'll have enough, and obviously Nevera, plenty of dosh. But 6-0 already for Complexity. This is a complete turnaround from what we've seen on Nuke. And as you said, a little bit worrying with Dust 2 coming up next. The map that on paper is good for both of these teams, but I feel like the playstyle of Complexity would shine through for sure. But here we go. I mean, the buy is being scraped together. They've actually managed to get the op dropped over as well. So Maka does have that to work with alongside nades. Maybe a few less nades than they would have had otherwise, but overall, it's not a bad buy.
I mentioned on the previous map that this is where I think Complexity draw the line between them and Heretics. Their mid control. Now that we're into the buy rounds, deeper into them, where Heretics actually have money to play with, that's where we see this come through. And Poison, this isn't even what I was thinking about, but my god, man! 3 kills. He opens up mid completely. XMS, walk through the smoke and drop yourself to death. It's all on to Nevera. 1v5. And I bet Heretics wish they ecoed this round now. Man, that was ridiculous. I mean, generally, you see Poison actually play a supportive role on mid. He plays top mid 90% of the time for Complexity. He's going to be the one flashing the players in and holding window afterwards. Maybe he entries into window itself, but that's it. Right there, though, you see the confidence, the change of pace from Complexity versus their normal Mirage, versus what we saw versus Na'Vi and all these other teams that they've been beating on a higher level or competing with. Just running down mid, swinging left and right, taking frags. Unbelievable.
Whew. They're swinging everywhere. What decade is this? Oh, Nevera. That's one nice little catch. I don't know if he's able to survive here, though. They're all coming in for him. Yeah, Blame F just finishes him off. 7-0. Complexity are making this look so easy. Look at the bank they have, man. No recessions for Complexity. This is just getting out of hand. It's not even going to be a full buy here from Heretics, as you'd expect with the money that they had available. They pull out a scout, some pistols, as many nades as they can to help them out in their efforts. But, I mean, just even looking at the scoreboard, Mitch, bring it up for a moment. Look at that. I'm not even going to say anything. They're not having a good time. No one's contributing. This is why we're seeing a 7-0 half right now.
So many buy rounds. 7-0, it's like the line. Where you draw the line, you gotta start winning rounds. And this isn't one that they're going to be winning. But this next full buy round, I think, dictates whether it's going to be... Again, it's why... I was so worried when I saw they picked Nuke, because there were 2 veto paths in my mind. You get Nuke out. Maybe Inferno was a decider as well, but even banning Overpass was weird. And then the other was that they pick Inferno, and they play for Nuke as a middle ground, which I think Complexity would have been happy at the beginning of this. I don't doubt the Complexity would have been happy to take Nuke as a middle ground map. Yes, Heretics destroyed them and looked better win rate wise. That was hard to say for some reason. But Complexity don't give a damn about your map pool most of the time. They play to their own strengths. We see them pick Mirage against Navi. You don't do that. Are you mad? But they do. They just, if they have the option to pick Mirage, unless you really suck on a map, they will pick Mirage. And when it comes down to how things played overall for Heretics in this veto, they've left themselves in a pretty rough position. With those 2 Puggy maps in the end. I thought it would be Inferno, then Mirage, and then they would veto down Banning Dust, leave it between Overpass and Nuke, and take Nuke as a decider. That would have been a good veto for Heretics. They're confident on Inferno. They've played it. I mean, Maka and Kiyoshima have been playing it for the longest time. You saw them obviously versus Ents, the improvements that they've had. Bit of an off day versus Dignitas, but we'll excuse that. And I think Complexity would have walked into a pretty bad situation, because they would have probably lost Inferno, walked into Mirage, and won, presumably, and then ended up on Nuke thinking, all right, this should be easy. We're good on this map. We beat Astralis. We beat Vitality. Yeah, we're great. And our North on that. And then gotten smashed on Nuke. But they played it out with 2 Pug maps in the end. I think that's the biggest downfall, really.
It's not over. I mean, 8 rounds on the T side for Complexity. If they were to end it here, it would be sure one they could be happy with. But if we do see kind of 7 in a row for Heretics, then the momentum definitely would be shifted in their favor. And they're swapping it up a bit. They're pulling out this double op setup. It definitely might help them with controlling mid, which has been an issue. But that's not the focus in this round for Complexity. 3 players surprisingly in towards Palace. I guess expecting perhaps some aggression to come in, but it ends up just immediately getting smoked off. So I think that kind of foils whatever sort of a quick play they had in mind. Instead, shifting a couple players back around, maybe towards ramp. I would imagine so, considering they have also kept that second player in Palace for the moment. Oh no, sorry, he was towards ramp. I was confusing myself on the map somehow. It looked like Maury, he was up close in Palace. But yeah, I mean, taking this really slow so far. Neither team really having a lot of info about what's going on, apart from BlameF just kind of chilling, waiting to see if anyone peeks mid.
Moving slowly in for this one. Heretics get an advantage there with the AWPs in play. I mean, late game, if you've got no map control and you have to push through all these angles and the op's lurking somewhere, well, you're going to be in a little bit of trouble. Complexity, though, will be hitting A. They've got 1 outside ramp and 1 Palace. The mid-control, BlameF in through window yet again. Good nade down to Config. But this has to be a huge performance by the A players. They're about to be split from every angle. CT is the only safe space at the moment. And with 30 seconds left, barrage of flashbangs followed by a heavy push should be coming in just a second.
Indeed. Not even really before the flash. They had actually happened before the flash even in, because Poison finds the first contact on the up. Words are failing, but XMS isn't. At least not initially. Was able to put up a bit of a defense with that double kill, but it still may not be enough. Is suddenly Maka left alone. I mean, the time was really low. Another kill going in favor of Heretics there, and they could have put themselves on the board, but instead Maka gets tagged up. 1-on-3, that's near impossible, and he has been spotted by Obo, who decided to elevate himself to a higher angle. 9-0, Complexity looking like they're going to reach double digits before Heretics can get a single round. I mean, they could maybe scrape their by here, but there'd be 3 players who'd be limited down, unless they were willing to on Kiyoshima go for the rifle with no kit, which is body armor. So no, they're not really willing to do it. It's just going to be a scout and some pistols, and we should see 10.
Now, this is a really rough spot for Heretics, man. What a way to start out this map pick. As I mentioned, you know, Nuke being fairly one-sided, that gives Heretics a bit of a bonus. If you come on to Mirage, maybe you're going to be winning that out and getting your poke style too, but not quite what's going on. Oh, no. Nice spam by Maka. Really good timing.
Adventurous from Maka. Would have been best maybe to fall back at that point. Not only did they have the kill, but they also had the damage that's previously been done on Config. Obo could be in trouble. I believe actually having been spotted there by the scout. close a chance potentially. Yeah, the weapon being spotted. There's a potential wall bang there. Lucky, I don't think wanting to risk it though. Waiting to see if he'll move back anytime soon. They've stacked up towards this B-bomb site though because of that info. And that is where Complexity are bringing this bomb. Unfortunately, as they get one kill, they think it's a fake. They begun to rotate, realizing now that that's not the case. Navira got the initial contact, but he also got himself an AK, and he finds two as they move forward, all on config. He's spotted now and finished off easily.
Well, there it is. The first round for Heretics at long last. I don't know how long the wins are going to last for them. Definitely a rough position to play from it. Realistically, you've got to appreciate coming into this the fact that Complexity are obviously the superior Mirage team. We know that moving through. Like, yeah, you can look at it and say, oh, but they have 60% win rate and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, they're close enough to the same win rates, but just look at the teams they're playing against. Nordavin, Navi Jr., Sprout. Team Heretics are playing this against significantly worse teams to what Complexity are on a consistent basis. Same thing goes for Dust 2. Yeah, Heretics have got a great win rate, but Heroic are probably the best team they've played against on successfully. Whereas when you look over towards Complexity, I mean, they're beating the hell out of opponents there. Hiroshima on to Blame F. Finally, they've actually started to react to Blame F's window control. He's done that maybe 5 rounds and eventually got punished. That's a nice opening for them. Navarro spotted the players coming up, and they didn't expect it to be an op. How do they re-peek it? Go ahead. Give them all the kills you want. Navarro's happy to take them.
Yeah, well, we know one of the two brothers can op anyway. Or two, yeah, it is brothers, right? I've seen some funny Scream clips from a long time ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, not much Obo and Rush can do. Considering the economy they have, though, I think they probably will still go for this, because if they can even come out with a couple kills, that makes it worthwhile. Oh, I don't think that's going to be too likely anymore, though. Maka has an easy shot on Obo. You're seeing Rush trying to protect him, but not quite able to do so. Trying to get up at the window now, going to be spotted by Lucky, and there we go. 5 players surviving for Heretics. That's exactly what they need. 4 in the round before that as well. They're actually beginning to build up some sort of momentum here. If they can manage to recover this to 6 rounds on the half, that is not the worst. Definitely would be a recoverable position still, especially if they get off to a good start with the pistol, then moving on over to their T side.
100%. I mean, we're seeing Navarra turn up in performance. This has been a big factor for the games that you see Heretics playing on Mirage. That double op setup, finally getting something to say about the rounds. But Complexity, with 9 already built up, they're in a comfortable position. And really the pressure is on Heretics to just win every single round from this point forward, to 9-6 it. They've got to keep that scoreline within a fairly tight gap moving through to the next half, or things can just get out of control. The loss of a pistol round in the force by those initial 3 that set the pace to be, or the gap to be massive. Complexity changing up. You notice the difference in their mid control now? The much slower gameplay. Blame F isn't as comfortable to just bash on through the window as he was before. They've got their angles smoked off and they take it slow. The bomb rotating to B, and it'll be a late short push. Config eventually jumps up on top. He's looking for the angle to Lucky. He catches the leg. 26 HP left. Lucky just about makes it away, and he was lucky to survive that.
Really fortunate indeed. Config is going to be able to at least return there quickly for Complexity, and as you said, with Lucky already being tagged up right now as the sole defender on the bomb site, bar the players now beginning to come in through kitchen. He was in a tough spot, but he still was able to get 1 frag out of it, so really not bad work at all. Leaves them in the 3-on-3. I don't think they can do a lot about the bomb plant itself, and it's actually a flank from Blame F yet again. We've seen that from him a couple times already. The issue is now, though, knowing only 1 player is on the bomb site, it doesn't really give the room for Poison to try and get that bomb planted. He has to wait until Blame F is a little bit closer, and he doesn't expect Maka to be up close on short, but opting for the P250 unfortunately does backfire, and now it's all on Kiyoshima. Blame F being low health trying to cover will be successful with the headshot. 10-2, Complexity, they fire back.
Double digits connected. Anything from here is a bonus, really. This T side from Complexity has been domineering, and again, the problem I highlighted coming into this map was their terrorist side. Their mid control in particular just doesn't seem something that Heretics can actively contest. And oftentimes they're playing Maka towards positions on maps that you wouldn't traditionally see an Opera playing in. This time, though, he goes down through middle early on in Connector. He hopes to catch them with that. Very good reaction to the top mid smoke, what you just saw him do. He sees the smoke coming over, knows, well, I'm not going to get a kill here. You're going to have to passively hold mid. So instead, he backs off and plays in connector, drops the smoke below him so he can peek, get them coming through the smoke, and then later on look at top mid. But sadly, we won't see any reward or any combat from that spot as Complexity line up outside B and just watch for any pushes on top mid, underpass, EDA site with rush. Eventually, it'll be late mid. And actually, no, look, Mac has got the patience to stick around here. The only issue for him is no one's watching underpass, and he hasn't got smoke to use up anymore. He's just going to molly that and bail on out.
They might be planning an A split at the moment, potentially. I'm only one player over towards ramp with this aggressive push that's in at the moment. That could be a bit of an issue because I don't think Heretics would mind taking that one kill and then just setting themselves up for the retake, having both angles to move in from. So this one's going to be tough, especially as the time does begin to get low for Complexity. They are going to need some quick entries. Looking to move their way up through connector mostly. There is one player up in the ladder room right there. Kiyoshima not quite going to be spotted. Molotov towards short, not going to do a lot, but the Molotov in window will make things a little bit harder. So now it is just going to be up to those ramp players, as I said, to get this one kill. Although Complexity played as well, they actually wait until he can have a little bit of help coming through from Obo, so he's ready to trade it back quickly. Config picking up one as well. He just continue with that aggression and eventually go down, but it doesn't seem like it's going to cost them because Poison, he is going to be there for the instant return. Kiyoshima yet again left alone.
And once again, it's going to be the save to come through. Heretics, man, they are not in the best of spots. 11 rounds for Complexity at the moment. Now, we've seen Heretics mount comebacks in the past, but this is even more one-sided than I expected. I voiced my concerns for the veto many a time, but we knew Mirage was going to come through. No matter what, Complexity were going to pick Mirage. Or maybe Dust too, but most of the time, is Mirage they lean to. And on the back of their recent results, honestly, I'd say they look a little weaker here than they have in the past. I mean, like I said, we saw them take a very close game against Na'Vi back in February. They beat Vitality back then relatively easily, only barely allowing double digits. But in more recent memory, indeed, just, 3 days ago in this very same tournament, we saw them face Vitality, and it was in overtime that they took the win. They gave North double digits. They lost to Big as well. So I thought maybe Complexity's form on this map would be decaying slightly versus the one I had built in my mind. And yet, here they are looking more dominant than ever. Now fast pushing out B versus Pistols. That's dangerous. Look, he's already got one on the Deagle. Oh no, we're starting to see the bad side of that decision. Luckily, Obo's able to find one with his Molly and with his AK. And with Maka took him back to the side, he's dealt with XMSs all alone. And it doesn't go quite as poorly as it could have.
No, that started off quite awkward there for Complexity. A good recovery, though, eventually coming through. Once they got control of the bomb site in the 3-on-3, the round was pretty much over. Really, the only way they could have lost there is if the short player went down and the extra rifle was obtained, and then suddenly they had an opportunity to maybe move in. But nope, not a lot that could be done. It's this round that Heretics were mostly focused on, though. This is where they get back onto the full buy. I guess better late than never, but at this point, obviously, the optimal score for them on the CT side being 3 rounds, and that is just nowhere near enough. Not at all, as you like to say. You've seen worse T sides. But a double up setup again brought in. We've seen this earlier on for them, and I don't believe it was really able to get too much done. So let's see if this time around they can be a bit more effective. One glaring issue, rather, with the buy that they have is that they do lack a defuse kit.
Oh, indeed they do. And Complexity have been alright at planting the bomb so far. They've gotten it in. Well, in fairness, the only rounds that they haven't won, they didn't get a bomb planted or kill everyone. But that also speaks to Heretics. To be honest, I really like Heretics' approach to saving. Whenever they're in a disadvantageous spot, I don't think... Whoop, I could just caught an angle. Oh, okay, and he doesn't get the kill. That's pretty much Heretics' look summed up right here. He happens to hit him in the hip. Look up.
Yeah, worst case scenario, hip replacement surgery needed. But again, we see the trade successfully going the way of Complexity. That's, as you said, one thing that they've been doing pretty much time and time again is trading down to a decent point where they can at least get the bomb planted and have a decent position in the after plant as well. And without the defuse kit and with a double up setup, this is just going to be near impossible. Obviously, there's no option for saving with it being the final round of the half, but they need to move extremely quickly, and it's going to have to be Kiyoshima who does the majority of the entry, and hoping that the Ops will maybe be given some chances to pick up frags. Flash over towards the CT spawn. Actually, he does end up blinding up rush. It came through from Make. Poison getting tagged down and finished off then as well, so suddenly it's all on Obo. A 1-on-2 at this point as he drops the Molotov in. It's not quite covering off the bomb, I don't believe, so Make is looking to stick it, and Kiyoshima is there to cover.
Well, kid or no kid, they've got that one. So we take it 12-3. Not the best of halves for Heretics, although I said this is a map that allows comebacks, usually not to this extent. We'll find out how things go when we move over to the second half, but before then, we've got to throw things over to a quick break. We'll be back in about 3 minutes with half number 2, so don't go anywhere.
I was running road so many nations. Even when it's so sweet, I end up seeing red. Is it such a ghostly revelation? I may have fucked up all my chances. And we ain't sleeping on the floor again. We never sleeping on the floor again. For the ones who didn't make it out, for the ones that didn't see the life, for the ones that never cared, never gave a thought, found no happiness in that brand new car, or the house you bought. I see you talking about the love you lost, and it was gone like way before you ever thought it was. Yeah, I took my time, no quick ones, quick run, quick gas to get back there. Hot roads, I didn't think I'd come back fierce, cause I was running roads so many nations. Even when it's so sweet, I end up seeing red. Is it such a ghostly revelation? I may have fucked up all my chances. It's easy, it's hard to preach, cause I've been burning trees and watching fall. If we cannot breathe out, we go forward. Sure, I was searching for cure, fishing a little wildlife, and when I'm low on fuel, I'll still be running till my back broke. Halfway, lost hope and I checked it. Hard roads, I didn't think I'd come back fast, cause I was running roads so many nations. Even when it's so sweet, I end up.
Hello everybody and welcome back. Complexity versus Heretics, half number 2 here on Mirage going ahead, and Complexity are miles in the lead. Coming into this pistol round, only ahead by a smidgen as XMS gets tagged up on middle. The Heretics are faking out that control, starting to re-navigate their way in towards that B bomb site, but watch out. Complexity have a 3-man stack here early on, and a nade ready to be deployed by Config.
Yeah, one on Rush as well, but he's on the other side of the map, so it won't be able to quite join the power of the two, but it should still do a lot of damage. Nicely timed, taking down 2 players considerably, making it a little bit easier for these pistols now as the push comes in. But it's Config who finds those 2 open and frags and just keeps on going. Eventually joined by Poison, and we've only seen a single trade here for Heretics up until that point. Kiyoshima pulls 1 more at least in their favor, but that's not going to help them out when they're now down 13-3. Complexity have me speechless on this map, man. It looks like Dust 2 at this point is pretty much confirmed, and I think that that's going to be a tough one for Heretics for sure.
And you got to think about the difference between Dust 2 and Mirage. You thought of one? Because I haven't. These maps are very similar. It is very much a... Not a
no window
copy.
on Dust 2.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, I guess that's an upside. There are obviously differences between the 2 maps, but they're basically centered around the same thing. You're either playing it fast and early, it's about aim duels, and it's about mid-round calls. That's pretty much the map summed up. You're not looking at in-depth strategies in quite the same way as you are on a nuke or anything like that. And when you move into it, playstyle-wise, what I'm trying to say is that they're very similar. And for Complexity, it is their second favorite map. They pick it almost as much as Mirage, just a little bit less. And they'll be more than happy to have a decider there. I feel like we're... I don't expect as dominant a performance there, but I didn't expect it to be this dominant here either.
True. I mean, you never really know what's coming your way with Counter-Strike. Right now, advantage already, though, favoring Complexity. I was about to say they do have 1 player pinned in that corner. And right now, the Deagle shot's actually being connected. It's Lucky who's gone ahead and got himself a second. And then Maka dropping Poison has gone ahead and confirmed that they have the bomb site. Already a quick rotation from Config, but I don't know if they can really opt to go for this retake at this point. No defuse kit currently in their possession. Only 1 flash in terms of utility that's available. Probably just best off saving what they have here because it will be the force buy in the next round.
Considering the fact that Heretics didn't get the bomb plant in the previous round, I'm surprised to see them just roll through with that force buy, and so successfully as well. Complexity being slapped back into their place. With the explosion of the bomb imminent. Not going to see any further aggression from Morky or XMS with those rifles, but the potential for Kiyoshima to swing is definitely there. But considering he's got armor, the low HP will prompt him to just stay nice and passive. Really good stuff. 13-4. Heretics needed that. In the absence of the pistol round, that second round force serves as a new pistol, almost like it's a coin flip 2.0. They walked into that with not as much of an advantage as you usually do. If you're force buying up, it's usually because you can drop over 2 AKs and have a pretty good all-round buy. But Heretics decided, you know what, to hell with it. The map's already bad enough, might as well take the pistols. And you can see that caught Complexity completely off guard.
Indeed, and they themselves working with a relatively similar force buy. Obviously being able to save over the MP9 and the M4 for themselves does boost it up a little bit, so slightly stronger than what we actually seen from Heretics in the previous, so I'm not going to count them out, especially with how strong they have been playing. But Heretics, they have a very strong buy themselves. Quite safe in terms of having all rifles. The only one weakness really being the FAMAS, but going on towards A right now, it is currently stacked up. Those flashes being used perfectly as well, alongside the nade damage being done and open an advantage initially going towards Complexity. Let's see if the rifles can pull anything back, because so far it was just Navira. At this point though, I think Rush is a bit screwed. Yeah, gonna drop in a nade on him as well. That should do a decent amount of damage. He is looking to try and now come through the smoke. Was hoping Obo would find success. And stayed alive a lot longer than I expected, but unfortunately the round, not really going to be able to actually do anything with the round, rather. It is going to be Heretics who take it, but overall, I mean, considering that was the force fight, they made that extremely close. They don't really let Heretics get very comfortable.
Well, 13-5. Complexity have got plenty of rounds to give away. They can take it about as slow as they want, no matter how many disappointments come their way. Now, at the moment, just USP's that one Deagle. It's already got a headshot straight off the bat. They're going to rush up to top mid and try to take that weapon. Oh, that nade has slowed them down significantly. Obo very low now. And yeah, they spot that they're being watched. Just time to fall back. Oh, wait. The MAC-10 made it to them. The nade must have pushed it forward, right?
I presume so. I don't want to see Obo keeping it, though. He's barely alive at this point. Ooh. Config had a nice opportunity. Sadly, doesn't connect the deagle shot. So he will go down. That'll be mid-control, at least going in favor of Heretics. So making up for losing a player early on. And I don't imagine a lot more is done in this round for Complexity. Again, I want to see that Mac 10 in the hands of someone who's looking a little bit healthier, so that maybe they can even find one kill with it. Because it'd be a nice little boost to the buy in the next round, considering they're only getting 2,400 loss bonus. If you look at what they currently have available, there definitely is going to be some weaknesses in that investment. Right now, though, the A stack not looking like it'll pay off. Instead, just poison over towards B. Trusted with seeing if he can do anything. I mean, he is hiding up in the apartment, so maybe he can catch one off guard, get a quick double dink. Oh, yeah, actually does manage to get that one kill for himself. It wasn't quite trusting my own words. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't really think it was gonna happen, but yeah, somehow works. And yeah, you can see Blame. He wants to get an exit with that Mac 10 if possible.
It's definitely worthwhile just to try and farm that extra bit of cash. It's not like they'll want to use it in the next round anyways. And not only is the exit valuable because of the money it would give him, but it could also potentially save an AK. They're going to come this way.
Yeah, this could be real dangerous.
The bomb explosion. Time to push forward though.
And if he can now? Okay, yeah, that would have made 0 sense. Why peek after the bomb explodes if the whole point of staying in there was to avoid the fight so that you wouldn't lose your weapons, but then deciding to peek after you take damage so that it's easier for you to die? I was a little confused there.
They just decided, all right, we want to save our weapons in the last second. We want to kill. Luckily, they took it in the end, so not losing anything. But Complexity, yeah, they saved the Mac 10. Who cares? Upgrading up to the M4s, that's what they're after. And Og in play for Poison. He's just a sucker for scopes. 13-6, plenty of rounds to play with. Heretics early on, stacked up outside A. They're all there. And they're looking to push through onto Just Rush. He's by himself, the poor chap. I don't think he's going to have the best of times. As the smoke comes over, he knows there's at least 2 outside. Poison rotates in. But he's blocked off. But team damage. A little tickle for your teammates. That was nice.
Over the smoke and towards the CT spawn. Yeah, not going to be really good for anything apart from one. Still, the awkward thing about that spot, it does take a second to drop back down, so Lucky was in quickly for the trade. That gives them the bomb plant, but I mean, overall, not too bad. Been able to at least get the 1-for-1 trade before they concede that bomb plant. Forcing out a lot of the utility as well from Heretics. At this point, only having 1 flash remaining, so they're going to be just looking to try and take these fights. And I like that they've gone for the jungle control, realizing at this point that Complexity have begun to group up towards the CT spawn. They take themselves a strong position to play off of the bomb, and Maka and Kiyoshima fragging have pretty much sealed this round in favor of Heretics already. And especially with Navura finding that one. Flamef, I don't even know if he'd be allowed to save at this point. Should be, actually, because they're all beginning to back away on the Heretics side as well. But 7 rounds on the board now for Heretics. They're slowly beginning to grind their way back into this one.
There
it is. Flamef doesn't save.
This is more the Heretics I was hoping to see starting this one out. I mean, we've still got XMS having a hell of a rough game, but I guess that only matches up with Rush. It happens. But definitely with Maka turning back up, on the AWP, he wasn't quite there on the CT side. Certainly not with the same flair that we've not only seen from him on the previous map, but just in general, over the last couple months, he has been incredible to watch. Much slower coming into this one. This map. XMS really not having a good day. Runs down to underpass and Blame F just domes him with the CZ. Now an AK retrieved for the CT side on the one player that has armor as well. That's a big threat out of it.
Makado is saving the day. I was going to say, thankfully, they had gotten a kill elsewhere, as we also seen XMS fall, but the frags just continued to then come for Heretics, so that one wasn't really the biggest of deals, because he kept on going. 4 for Maka. He's looking for the ace. At this point, probably shouldn't, though, just because he is 6 health. It'd be quite risky to be taking that fight against Blame F, although I would imagine they will try and hunt down this weapon. Having a decent economy themselves, knowing that if they were to take the AK away, obviously it'll limit them a little bit more in the next round. Obviously, the buy still comes true for Complexity. But the AK being something that Blame F, I'm sure, would love to have his hands on. And does currently. And yeah, I think they're just going to leave him with it. Not the biggest of deals. They know as well that obviously they want to have as much economy as possible for if they do lose a round. Don't want to get put in a spot where they have to eco. At that point, they'd have to concede map points. So, yeah, I'm taking a safer approach. I don't disagree with this. Blame F, though, having that 8k, that'll be a nice little boost to their buy. But what has it been now? 5 rounds in a row here for Heretics. They're definitely taking it up a notch. As you said, this is what we wanted to see from them in the beginning, but we just didn't. We ended up seeing, I believe it was 10-0 before they finally got around. I'm sorry, 9-0.
For Heretics, the fact that they're turning up is certainly paints a better picture for Dust 2, even if they don't win this one here. But now with 5 rounds between them, I'm starting to believe in this comeback. And this is a complete change around. And the one thing I said coming into this map was I feared for Heretics because of the complexity T side, because of the mid control that we saw again and again, destroying the hopes. What a name by Keo, alongside the spam from XMS, of course. But that was the issue. The CT side of complexity isn't necessarily a beast. It's not a scary thing to behold. But when they've got so many rounds under their belt, surely that's where they just don't give it up. But evidently, they just don't give up over on the Heretic side. They keep on rolling with the punches and against them. The AWP hero has been picked up by Config and is now played in the top of Connector. That's a bit of a crossfire in mid with Oboe. And there's closer support from well, Oboe's gone. So now Blame F's the only one helping out. As Config goes back in to check the window, you got to remember Heretics aren't as aggressive as what we saw from Complexity, certainly not on the same consistent basis. As Lucky takes that kill, where are Complexity going to go?
Yeah, not aggressive in the same way, but they're not afraid to take these aim builds. Config could be in trouble. As you said, Rush on that flank, unfortunately, being spotted and dropped. And now they know Config is the last man on B, so they're just running the bomb back to A. I mean, the confidence being shown by Heretics is kind of surprising considering how the first half went, but it is amazing to see. And they don't even want to let Config save this time. Now they know, of course, that actually taking the weapon will stop the buy from happening at all in the next round, so that likely actually gives them double digits now. Suddenly it's about to be 3 rounds in the difference between these two, unless Complexity pulls out a round with a weaker investment, which isn't too likely, but they are going to have a little bit of a discussion, so maybe they can try something wild. Who knows, but damn, Heretics are really beginning to pull this back. This is a worry. I was not expecting this.
Remember, they've lost both pistol rounds, and more importantly, in the first half, they lost the follow-up as well. But here, since the pistol, they haven't given anything. From 13-3 all the way to 13-9, and plenty more room to go with. One thing for Heretics that I'll commend them, or 2 things I'll commend them on, is the ability to choose when it's the right time to take a risk and try to go for a retake, or when it's time to just save. I think they're a very good team, specifically on the CT side. I mean, it comes up more often there. At deciding when that risk-reward pays off, it's very refreshing to see teams thinking about that more actively than what I'm used to. And then when you look at at the other end of it as well, their mentality is insane. To keep themselves alive in this, to keep fighting tooth and nail for every single round. When you're 13-3 down on your opponent's map pick, that takes balls. And they clearly have the belief in their team to know that they can pull it all the way through into a 4v4 with the trades out and a brilliant push-up connector. But unfortunately, Poison is able to swing. One at a time, he takes them down. 4 tags without anyone responding. And eventually, they eliminate him. But it's into a 3v3, a much more winnable spot for Complexity.
A flash into the spawn. Not too surprisingly, XMS doesn't follow it up. It was more so just to, I guess, warn any CTs off of that position. But for now, Config and Oboe chilling around until I guess they hear someone actually trying to advance on putting that bomb down, which for now isn't happening. Isn't going to be happening. You see, XMS has actually backed off towards the under palace. They have one player just ensuring they have control around jungle and connector. Mac, I believe, has now spotted that player on short, so they just need to try and fight something together. You're actually trying to put that bomb down. XMS ends up falling. Nivera does fortunately come in for 2 quick trade frags. And now that leaves it all onto Blame F, so it's a 2-on-1. No kit in play, but the bomb is still yet to be planted.
I heard they talk about Nivera's... As Maga falls, let's see if Nivera's got anything left in the bag. It's going to be an ace if he finds this. Looking for Blame F. Knows he was around the stairs. That info to play with. But Blame at the bottom of the stairs is Nivera. He backs off. He's just holding the site, playing the time, letting that clock run all the way down. Blame F was hoping he'd play aggressive, but now he's lost him. He could be in Palace, Ramp, absolutely anywhere, hiding out. There's the steps. Blame F being spotted, and Nivera gets the ace. Heretics on double digits, 7 in a row now. And they are getting very close to complexity on a map that on paper should be calls. This is ridiculous.
Yeah, this was looking like it was over at half-time, but suddenly there's 3 in the difference. We are seeing complexity back onto a full investment at least, and they've gone ahead and brought out a double-up setup here for themselves, having config on the secondary one. So definitely a switch up. We've seen Team Heretics try the same when they were struggling on the CT side, and it didn't really work out for them. But perhaps it's the adjustment that complexity need to start getting back into their winning ways, because yeah, this has been a very poor CT side from them so far. Not discrediting Heretics, because they've looked fantastic as well. Makic throughout this entire series, and just in general for them, in any sort of recent performance I can think of from them, he's been insane. Vera too, really showing up. Slow round again. Heretics, they're able to find that mid control without really being challenged too much, which has been the case so far. Again, some players just playing up close towards connector there for complex.
Vera moving forward, has to be conscious of Obo up close to his right. That could be an issue. He checks it, but not able to find the duel. Taken down. And Maka looks to trade, but those flashes don't prompt Obo into the open. He's still close now, though. Oh, the swing from Obo. And the young gun gets the kill. A 3 versus 4. And complexity back in the lead. The best buy round for them over the last 6 or 7. The best ones looked so far. Put it that way. Poison! Oh, I thought he got them both. Obo was there to assist. And Kiyoshima's the last alive. 1 versus 4. This would have to be a huge play for him. He gets poisoned very quickly indeed. Nice headshot. Moves back up towards the stairs. No idea where this other player is, though. Spot. No way he was getting punished.
Nah, not expected. Just thinking at that point that it was going to be the A retake being played for. But, I mean, having one player stairs would more so indicate that you might be playing a little bit more aggressive, or at least around default or something with that second player. But, who knows? It was always a bit of a gamble. He took the gamble that it was going to be someone holding from CT, and he goes down. Not the end of the world, considering they have built up decent economy, but obviously Heretics realizing they can't afford to lose another round at this point do call him for the pause. Surprisingly, only their second. I thought we would have seen more than one on that previous half. It didn't even clock with me that it was only a single tactical pause taken by them. But yeah, this is an opportunity for complexity to try and close this out before it gets too close for comfort.
They've got a lot of work to do, though, complexity, to close this, and there's so much pressure on them considering they've picked up one of the last 11 rounds. No, one of the last 8 rounds. What am I talking about? Was it a once-off? Was it a fluke? I mean, Obo's hold in towards B-Apps was huge. Poison on the AWP, getting frag after frag, but you repeat that again and again. They need to do it at least twice as Heretics move into position with a very similar early game. They haven't sent anyone top mid, which, I mean, in normal circumstances would play it as an issue, but complexity are playing tight now. They're not pushing up top mid. Instead, it's just a slightly aggressive short play. Oh, Poison, though. Is he going to be spotted? Yes, he is. His headshot taken out. Oh, XMS! There's a double. He's not had a great game so far, but that might make up for it. Config in the window. Moves in to try and help out that A-hold, but there's not much of an A-hold. Oh, no, the smoke! It was too late. He swung out early, and there's a kill. That brings complexity back into it in a 3v4.
Yeah, look, he's still lurking in towards connector, though, which I'm not sure if it's expected. You have Obo dropping out a window right now, so he will actually be moving in from this position, and also with Nevera up close on the bench. It's a very awkward position for him to try and move in from there for Kiyoshima. He goes straight down, rather for Obo, so he unfortunately goes straight down, and yeah, from that point it's just a cleanup for Heretics. A strong after plant and fantastic entries from XMS, despite actually getting blinded up by his own teammates' flash for that second one because they were flashing over the stairs, and it did completely blind them.
That's his face when we've got like an MVP out. That's his face when you say he's got 5 kills. He's got 7 now after the previous round, but just like, come on, you gotta call me out.
Oh no, I wasn't calling him out. It was a good job to still get the kill. He predicted where the movement was going, but he was a bit he was kind of screwed by that flash, so it was a little fortunate. The first entry though was quite fantastic on Poison. But yeah, Complexity, they're the ones who have to call in the tactical pause this time, and all they're really going to discuss is how much they can afford to invest in this round, because it is not going to be everyone buying up completely. Definitely a decent amount can be put into it, considering they still have full loss bonus now coming back into the next round. But we should see Heretics on 12. This is much, much closer than I'm sure anyone would have expected after what we actually seen in that first half from Complexity. They looked fantastic. And now it's Heretics who have just completely flipped the script. Ooh, Maka, opening kill already being found. To be fair, Poison didn't have a lot, but it's just not the ideal start.
Well, Blame F down with the push attempt into Palace, but they have managed to get up through ramp. Nevera ready for it. He's not tapping, but he's spraying, and they talk all about his sprays as he moves over towards middle, grouping up with his teammates to get that bomb plant on B, presumably is where the plan is at the moment. You've got Kiyashima pushed all the way up. Inap's not facing any contact, not hearing anything on the side either. And yeah, they're going to group up and push through. This should be 12 for Heretics. And Complexity, man, they are struggling to connect consistent rounds. I mean, they've only won one buy round so far on their CT side. Goodbye.
I mean, the economy has been an issue at points, so if they can at least confirm one more to confirm the overtime, then that'll be pretty solid for them. But ideally, they don't want to be getting to that point, considering how dominant the first half was. Nice kill by Config, but obviously being left alone at this point, he just wants to retrieve that AK and back away. Nice little bonus for him in the following round. Heretics don't want to let that happen, though. They are hunting this one. And yeah, Lucky coming out top mid has an easy frag. Taps away for the headshot. 2 now in the difference, but Complexity, this is where they come back onto the full buy. If they don't make this work, then we're probably seeing the scoreline being tied up. And at that point, Complexity will definitely be sweating.
I just can't believe we've ended up at this spot. Like, how does it feel as a team to get a 12-3 half and then be 14-12? And Complexity are so slow to start on this CT side. That includes the pistol win as well, like 13-3 to 14-12. Not ideal. The mid aggression, this is a change from Complexity. They're going back to their old CT sides, but the mollies keep them back. They're not allowed to. Heretics are keeping them boxed in. But look at that. The mid players fall back to A-side connector. And that leaves Heretics pushing into what is, unfortunately, quite a heavy stack.
Thankfully, the smokes do cut off the majority of the players, at least the vision. But Obo still spamming through, actually is able to find one. So that puts the advantage now over towards Complexity. And with that, they would be a bit more willing to play the retake. I was trying to get my sentence out as Config jumped through the stairs smoke. Fortunately, he does get himself one kill before going down, but Lucky, he could catch them off guard. Actually doesn't manage to spot Blame F on the steps. That's the one I was expecting him to get. Instead, picking off Poison in connector. But it's Maka and XMS now in the 2-on-3. Still a winnable afterplant, but it's not ideal. That Molotov forcing XMS out and now in towards Sandwich. Maka's trapped rather. There's no way he can win this. Yeah, being peeked from above. Unless they kept going one by one, there really wasn't much he could do. Yeah, Complexity, I mean, at least confirming the overtime here, but there's still enough money for Heretics to buy back in. And so far on the CT side, we haven't seen Complexity manage to actually link 2 rounds together. Counter-terrorists win.
That's certainly a problem for them. The absence of buy round, or at least consecutive or convincing buy rounds. You also have to remember, Heretics pushed into a 4-man A stack, and it still ends up in a very tight situation defined by just a couple of angles that are won on superiority. It's definitely not a clean sweep. The CT side is struggling at best, and I think it's already painted a good enough picture for Heretics moving into Dust 2 to at least put up a good fight. Has Complexity abandoned any middle play? This is quite a surprise. This is a team that fairly regularly move towards that top mid control, at least using Poison around those more aggressive angles, but this time he's holding down the ramp as they push into Palace and get a very valuable kill. That was Nevera that they took down. And heavy fraggers for the T side so far. The push to B sees them running into 2 players. And Config on the AWP. Oh, he misses the shot.
Okay, another frag at least coming back from Config to keep them the advantage. But this has gotten a bit closer than the round was looking to be. We actually see the bomb now being planted over towards this B-bomb site. Lucky obviously being heavy tagged up already, unfortunately, meaning it likely will be XMS to do most of the work. But with the up, Lucky definitely certainly could be still effective. Right now they're waiting, they're not moving too quickly through Kitchen. They want to set up this flanker from BlameF first. As I say that though, they do find contact, mostly focused now on the offer. That gives the room for XMS to go forward, but now Lucky low health and pinned in on that bomb site. He is going to struggle to deal with these players coming from the two angles. Indeed, BlameF dropping down, I believe right now, playing around the smoke actually. Lucky is looking to just run the time down. There is a defuse kit for Poison, but he needs to get on it real quick. Is there time? I do believe so. Maybe not. No, not quite. Heretics, they managed to make it happen. Lucky just hid in the smoke. He didn't have to do anything.
Oh, man, that's ridiculous. The Molly took him, and it took him an extra second to move out of range of the Molotov. And that cost them the round. Complexity also losing those players. Their money is trash. It's not good at all. An M4 carried forward by BlameF. Everybody else, though, not able to get something convincing. Poison on a scout, and that's it. Heretics looking at 15-14, most likely.
Very likely. I mean, this is a tough one. As you said, the M4 at least carried over a scout as well that they can do some damage with, but again, as we said, Complexity, they had failed to chain any rounds together so far on the CT side, and that continues to be the case. Right now, the mid control mostly being forfeited by both sides, not really actually looking to advance forward, I guess. There was a little bit of a challenge in the beginning, and it did end up actually favoring Complexity, so I don't think Heretics wanted to stick around too much longer. And probably making the correct decision here to shift it back towards the B apartments. For now, it is just that one player. I was going to say over towards the short pillar being Obo, but he is moving in towards the bomb site itself now, and with that, the rotations as well beginning to come true. So there is a relatively decent defense in position. Unfortunately, the kills all going in favor of Heretics, or at least unfortunately if you're a Complexity fan or one of the players. And having an M4 there on BlameF, I think you just call for the save now. I mean, look at the health on all the players, though. A couple extra bullets being connected, and this could have gone a different way.
BlameF saving, there's no doubt about that. Rush, on the other hand, he's moving forward with the Deagle, wants to find an exit, find a free rifle. As he's mollied off, he realizes they're not going to come short. So then that's his time to go underpass. He hears steps up above him. He knows they're going for the save, and with them running away so quickly, probably knows they're low HP as well. But it's a little bit too late when he gets that information. He might catch Navera, and released a head peek angle for XMS to shut him down. Spidey senses were tingling. And really, he saved Navera there. Because if he had just went to spawn, Navera probably would have been killed on his run out. That is 15-14. Heretics looking to... Sorry, this was just once again 13-3 to Complexity. And Heretics are one away from hitting an overtime. Ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, even if Complexity close it out at this point, going on to map number 3, I think Heretics will be feeling pretty decent considering how they started us off. They've definitely warmed up. They've shifted the momentum in their favor. And right now, an overtime is looking relatively likely. I'm not going to count out Complexity, though. They're calling in one of their pauses here, realizing that they need to have a discussion. This is their last chance to close it out here on Mirage. Otherwise, it's going to be an overtime that they'll have to fight for. And at that point, I mean, may perhaps be feeling a bit demotivated. I mean, they've just struggled to really do much at all on the CT side, and it was really surprising to me. This is where I expected them to have their better performance, if I'm being honest. But here we go. The pause is now gone. They've had a discussion. They obviously do have all the weapons they could want. An AUG coming out for Obo, not something you see too often.
I don't know if I would have... Well, I definitely didn't expect a better performance from Complexity CT just because of, like I said, their T side so damn good. Heretics a little bit shaky on it, and when it comes to defense, look at what we saw from Complexity on Nuke. I mean, it was shaky at best. Finding this space for those open doors has always been a bit of a disadvantage for them. There's 1-for-1 trades off the bat. Complexity are ahead. They're in a 4 versus 3 as they come out to the bomb site. Config tucked up behind the smoke. He's going to go on top of the van. Catches one off guard. The spray was good eventually to take down, but hold on. Navera with the frag, the molly down behind. That'll get them a bomb plants at least.
Yeah, and give them the opportunity to start trying to play the time, of course, on it as well. Put a clock for Complexity to be working against rather than it being the other way around. And for the moment, Complexity, they are sticking together in Kitchen with all 3. They have a defuse kit. They still have a decent amount of utility, including 2 Molotovs, so that's going to make things a little bit more complicated. One in towards the van. It actually is burning XMS down. Just about manages to escape up on top of the van, but not for long. Poison hits the headshot on the up. Blame F comes in and trades out Navera. And there it is. Complexity, they just about managed to close it out here on Mirage. But that was a close one. I mean, I was clenching the entire time. 16-14 though. I'm excited now for Dust 2. I do think the Heretics will be able to give us a show